In the previous section, we looked at Audit D and how those events are transformed into JSON via Laurel. So now let's look at the various cloud token aspects and look at how access to these events are logged and how we could actually go ahead and generate this telemetry. So just like on Windows, we'll start with the AWS credentials file. So if we run this AWS STS get caller identity, we could see that we are actually connected to AWS through this host using the AWS CLI. So at this point, we know that some kind of cloud token is stored on the system, but we need to find it. We need to locate it. And after we locate it, we need to add that location path into our audit deconfiguration file so that we can get some logs generated when this file is accessed. So let's kind of go ahead and tackle these steps one by one. Let's go ahead and locate the file first. So to do so, we'll use TrufAudit, and the TrufAudit utility can be used in a bunch of different ways. It can be used with GitHub Actions. It could be used with your CI/CD pipeline and things like that. We are going to be using it just on the file system here, and we're going to be pointing it to the directory where we think or we know kind of where our AWS keys lived, and we're just doing this to save some time. So when we run it, we'll get an output in JSON here, and we'll see that it found the file, and it gives us the file path, and it gives us what it used to detect it, and it gives us a redacted version of kind of what it found. And it also gives you some metadata here as to like how long the scan took and everything like that. So what we need to do now is find a way to get this entry, parse it, and add it to our audit deconfiguration file. So in order to do that, I'll just clear this terminal first. We'll be using a script called TrufAudit to audit D, and this script is in your course or workshop materials as well for you to copy and paste and modify as you see fit. And what the script will do is it'll use JQ, which is a utility to parse JSON, and it'll install it for you if your system doesn't already have it. And it will go ahead and actually parse out the output that TrufAudit gives you, and then it'll add that output to your audit D rules file with a key called from TrufAudit output. So if we look at an example of this, we already have a file called TrufAudit.json, which contains the same JSON blob that I was demonstrating or showing earlier. And what we need to do now is add this entry to our audit deconfig file. So we will just run TrufAudit to audit DSH, and we will give it our JSON file. So once again, just to kind of go over all the different steps that are happening here, we are running this TrufAudit to audit D script, and we're feeding it the parameter of TrufAudit.json, where TrufAudit.json contains the JSON blob that TrufAudit found earlier. And once we run this script, it'll go ahead and add the entries to your audit deconfig file. And these errors are safe to ignore. And this output might look a little bit different on your machine depending on what credentials are being added. But in this case, you can see that we added the AWS credentials to our audit deconfig. So let's actually go ahead and verify that this works by running a cat of our AWS credentials. So we see, just like on Windows, these credentials are stored in clear text, and we used the cat utility here to display the outputs of that credential file. We'll then make sure that this entry is actually found in our Laurel logs. So we'll cat the audit D log file from Laurel, and we'll just grep from TrufAudit output, and we'll use JQ to make the output a little bit pretty. And we see these events here. So this is showing you that the cat executable, which is found in user bin cat, use the open nat syscall, which corresponds to a file being opened to open the home slash defcon slash dot aws slash credentials file. So this is kind of the Linux equivalent to the 4663 event. And we're taking the same kind of approach here. We're generating the telemetry. We're seeing what it looks like when a cloud credential file is accessed. And then in later sections, we'll access this file from a C2, do our hunting steps, our baselining, our detection engineering, and all that good stuff. But for the purposes of this particular video, I just wanted to show what the various steps are here and how we actually get the necessary telemetry generated. If you look in the workshop materials, I have an image of these JSON blobs kind of broken down and annotated so you get a better idea of what each one of these fields is doing and how you can use them. So that wraps it up for this particular section. In the next section, we will go ahead and look at some ways to generate fake cloud credentials, just like we did in Windows. And then we will actually go ahead and start to look at this telemetry in a SIM and start to baseline it. So I'll see everyone there. Thank you very much.